ladies. Today I'm going to be talking to you about flowing through your vinyasa. I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard that phrase in class or in a video, and maybe you've thought, what does that mean? And so traditionally in Sanskrit, vinyasa refers to breath connected with movement. So that's why you see vinyasa style classes where they're more of a flow style, and inhale, arms up, exhale, arms down, so on and so forth. But kind of in a more modern sense, and for myself, vinyasas come to mean the movement from when you're in plank pose, either on your knees or full plank, through your back bend, so upward dog or cobra, back to downward facing dog. And so often you'll hear that in a flow, a teacher will say flow through your vinyasa. That's what it's referring to. So today I'm going to show you a few different options that you can take for your vinyasa. So you're going to start at the top of your mat, either the knees are bent or the knees are straight, and you're going to place your hands on the ground. And so you're either going to step or hop back. Now there's only one case when you should be hopping back, and that's if you can hop back to full chaturanga. You should never be hopping back into plank pose because that's really jarring for the arms. And so taking you through the first option, plant the hands onto the ground, you're going to step back into plank pose. And here you can either stay in full plank or you can drop the knees. Then from here, you're going to lower down through chaturanga. So in chaturanga, we want to make sure the elbows are shooting directly behind us, and then our weight is coming slightly over the wrist as those elbows go back. So taking an inhale on the knees, exhale, lower all the way down. And then in full chaturanga, you would have the knees lifted, same thing, elbows shoot behind you, slightly over the wrist, lower, lower, lower down. Now if you're jumping back, you're not jumping back to plank pose, you're jumping back through chaturanga. So you're going to bend the knees, place the hands on the ground, shoot the feet back, and land with the elbows already bent. If you jump back, and I'll show you this one time, if you jump back to plank pose, you can see how it's jarring for the joints, for the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders. So you want to be jumping back to chaturanga. If you don't have the strength yet to jump back to chaturanga with the elbows bent, then you should be stepping back either to full plank or on the knees. So once you're down on the mat, whatever version you took, you're going to either come into baby cobra or upward facing dog. So cobra, you have the hands by the lower ribs, again elbows stay pointing down behind you, tops of the feet into the mat, chin resting on the mat, inhale, lift the chest, and then on the exhale you tuck your toes and you lift back to downward facing dog. If you're upward facing dog, hands are in the same placement. This time the whole body lifts up. Now I see a lot of this when people are trying to do upward facing dog. This is kind of a wonky combination between cobra and upward facing dog. In upward facing dog, the arms should be straight and the thighs are lifted. So no part of the leg except the feet is touching the mat. So if this isn't accessible to you, if you feel like you don't have enough availability in the shoulders, stay with cobra. So if you are in upward facing dog, on your exhale, you would either tuck the toes and then push back to downward facing dog, or if you're able to roll over the toes, coming back to downward facing dog. One more option you have here, if pushing back into downward facing dog isn't available to you, you can also come through on the knees. So if you're here inhaling to baby cobra, exhale, tuck the toes, and then instead of lifting back to downward facing dog, you would leave the knees on the mat, come back through tabletop, then lift up into downward facing dog. So hopefully that made sense. I'll go through all three options and show you what that looks like connected together. And you can choose to take bits and pieces from each option if maybe upward dog doesn't work for you, but you are able to jump back, you can mix and match. So the first option here, we're in our forward fold, planting the hands, step back to plank pose, Exhale, lower down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes. I'm coming through tabletop this time, lifting up to downward facing dog. So that would be option number 1. And number 2, you'll plant the hands, set back to plank pose. And on an exhale, lower down through chaturanga. Maybe I inhale up to cobra still. Exhale, but I'll tuck the toes here. And this time I'll lift all the way up to downward facing dog. And in our last option, planting the hands, I'm going to shoot the feet back, jumping to chaturanga, inhaling upward facing dog, exhaling downward facing dog. So those movements connected together, what would make up your vinyasa. So start where you're at, and wherever you're at, it's great. Maybe you can start adding on, maybe not. Just see what works for you, and you can also use this in connection with my other videos and my ebook in order to help create your own home practice. Have a great day.